Comparing mid-range GPUs, NVIDIA RTX 3060 and 3060 Ti versus competitors. The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 with 12 GB and RTX 3060 Ti with 8 GB are mid-range to upper mid-range graphics processing units, targeting 1080p and 1440p gamers who want to experience the latest AAA titles with respectable frame rates and, in many cases, ray tracing enabled. Positioned below the higher-tier RTX 3070 and 3090 family, and now also 40 series cards like the RTX 4070 and 4090. The 3060 cards are often cited as solid sweet spot solutions. They bring next-generation features, like DLSS, which stands for Deep Learning Supersampling, at price points that are easier on the wallet compared to premium models. However, the GPU market is competitive. AMD has its own alternatives in the Radeon RX 6000 and newer 7000 series, and Intel recently joined the fray with Arc GPUs that aim to disrupt the mid-range. Below, we highlight 5 contenders that either match the RTX 3060 and 3060 Ti in price or performance, or offer a unique feature set that could sway certain users. Launched to compete directly with NVIDIA's mid-range Ampere cards, the AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT is often positioned similarly to the RTX 3060 in price, though it has seen varying cost fluctuations depending on supply and promotions. It's built on AMD's RDNA 2 architecture, which boasts features like smart access memory when paired with a compatible Ryzen CPU, ray tracing support, and FSR, which stands for Fidelity FX Super Resolution Upscaling Technology. For many modern 8AA titles, the RX 6600 XT can handle 1080p gaming at high or ultra settings, often surpassing the RTX 3060 in raw rasterization. Compared to its NVIDIA counterpart, the RX 6600 XT generally sips less power, which can be beneficial for thermals and smaller PC builds. Depending on sales or rebates, this card can sometimes be found at a more attractive price than the 3060, making it a compelling value proposition. AMD's first-gen hardware-accelerated ray tracing isn't as robust as NVIDIA's solution, so performance can drop more significantly with ray tracing enabled. While FSR 2.0 and subsequent versions has improved greatly, DLSS still retains an edge in many supported games, especially in higher quality modes. The RX 6600 XT has 8 GB of GDDR6 memory, which can be a concern for certain VRAM-intensive games or higher resolutions, whereas the standard RTX 3060 has 12 GB. The AMD Radeon RX 6650 XT is an incremental refresh of the 6600 XT, offering slightly higher clock speeds and improved memory bandwidth. Like the 6600 XT, it targets 1080p gaming and sits price-wise around the 3060 range. The card is widely considered a mild upgrade rather than a brand-new generation, often yielding a 5 to 10% performance bump over the non-refreshed model. With improved memory speeds and higher boost clocks, it can push out a few extra frames compared to the standard 6600 XT in many titles. As part of the same RDNA 2 family, you'll get consistent driver updates from AMD, and you won't have to worry about major architectural shifts. Still maintains a relatively low power draw, making it an attractive option for compact builds. The price gap between a 6600 XT and a 6650 XT is often not matched by a proportionate performance jump, so value seekers might not see it as worthwhile. Like its sibling, hardware ray tracing is less potent than NVIDIA's, resulting in a notable FPS hit in ray-traced games. Comparing mid-range GPUs, NVIDIA RTX 3060 and 3060 Ti versus competitors. VRAM capacity is sufficient for most current 1080p titles, but could feel tight for high-fidelity 1440p gaming in newer games with larger texture packs. Stepping up a notch, the AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT targets 1440p gaming, Often found in a slightly higher price bracket than the RTX 3060 Ti, it can trade blows with NVIDIA's offerings in raw raster performance. The 6700 XT includes 12 GB of RAM, a factor that's become increasingly relevant for titles requiring high memory usage at 1440p or above. Many tests show the 6700 XT frequently outpacing the 3060 Ti in pure rasterized games, making it a strong contender at 1440p. Having the same memory size as the base RTX 3060 can be an advantage in certain memory-hungry scenarios, potentially offering better texture streaming at 1440p. When paired with compatible Ryzen processors and motherboards, SAM can eke out additional performance gains, especially in certain games optimized for AMD hardware. The RX 6700 XT can sometimes be found at competitive rates, but it's typically more expensive than a 3060 Ti, so it may not always be the best value. Again, AMD's ray tracing performance lags behind NVIDIA's. While FSR helps, it's not as ubiquitous nor as consistently refined as DLSS in every title. While not excessively high, it typically draws more power than the 3060 Ti, potentially requiring a more robust PSU. A newcomer to the dedicated GPU space, Intel's Arc A series has garnered significant interest. The Arc A750 in particular competes with mid-range offerings like the RTX 3060. It has shown promising results in optimized titles, especially those leveraging modern APIs like DirectX 12 and Vulkan, and Intel continues to release driver updates to bolster performance and stability. In DirectX 12 and Vulkan games, the A750 can rival or surpass the RTX 3060 in raw frame rates, offering a compelling alternative. Intel has priced the card aggressively to break into the GPU market, often undercutting similarly performing NVIDIA or AMD cards. Intel is highly motivated to refine its GPU drivers. Early reviews noted large leaps in performance with subsequent driver updates. DirectX 9 and sometimes DirectX 11 titles have historically run less efficiently on Arc GPUs, though Intel's driver work is ongoing. Intel is still new to the discrete GPU market, so robust third-party tool support, extensive historical driver maturity, and a wide user base aren't yet on par with NVIDIA or AMD. While Intel has committed to the Arc line, it's still early days. Some potential buyers worry about sustained driver support if market conditions change. Although it's from a previous generation, the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Super remains a popular choice in budget builds. It lacks dedicated ray tracing cores or tensor cores for DLSS, but it can still handle 1080p gaming at respectable frame rates in less demanding or slightly older titles. Although it's from a previous generation, the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Super remains a popular choice in budget builds. Often found at significantly cheaper prices than current-gen cards, making it an appealing option if you're on a tight budget or upgrading from older GPUs like the GTX 1050 Ti. In traditional rasterized games, the 1660 Super is still plenty capable at 1080p, especially in esports titles like CS:GO or League of Legends. As part of the Turing line, driver support is well established, and broad game compatibility is assured with minimal issues. Without RT or tensor cores, you miss out on NVIDIA's dedicated hardware-accelerated ray tracing and the performance benefits of DLSS. As games grow more complex, 6 GB of VRAM and no advanced features could make the card show its age faster than RTX-equipped GPUs. While some 1440p games can run acceptably at medium settings, it's really best for 1080p usage. Conclusion: the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 and 3060 Ti have earned praise for their blend of modern features, ray tracing, DLSS support, and decent 1080p or 1440p performance at relatively attainable price points. However, the market is full of worthy contenders that may sway you depending on your gaming habits, budget constraints, or preference for one ecosystem over another. AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT appeals to those who want strong 1080p performance with lower power consumption, though it lags behind NVIDIA in ray tracing. AMD Radeon RX 6650 XT, a slight upgrade over the 6600 XT, it's a viable option for 1080p enthusiasts who want a minor performance boost, if priced right. AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT, suited for more serious 1440p gaming, offering higher raster performance and 12GB of VRAM, but often with a higher price tag. Intel Arc A750, a compelling newcomer with potential in modern API games and a budget-friendly price, though it's not as polished with older titles. NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660, Super, a last-generation favorite for strict budgets and straightforward 1080p gaming, albeit without ray tracing or DLSS support. Ultimately, choosing the best card depends on your desired resolution, games played, budget, power supply capacity, and how much you value features like ray tracing or upscaling technology. If you're comfortable playing games without ray tracing or the highest tier fidelity, an AMD RX 6600 XT or GTX 1660 Super might suffice, saving you money in the process. Conversely, if you want a well-rounded card with strong driver support, robust ray tracing, and a large VRAM buffer, the RTX 3060 or 3060 Ti could remain the best mid-range pick. In any case, compare prices, consider your monitor's resolution, refresh rate, and think about the games you'll be playing most often. Each of these GPUs excels in different scenarios, so weighing these pros and cons carefully will help you land on a card that aligns perfectly with your needs and your wallet.